for joining me today for our webinar covering the Accelerated Second Degree program, the ASD BSN here at U of M-Flint. So if you're looking into nursing, this should probably come as no surprise to you. Nationally, nurses make approximately $45 an hour, around that $93,000 a year mark. Best paid 10% around the $129,000 mark. Bottom 10%, $61,000, and it has a 6% projected job growth from 2020 up to 2030, consistent with the national average. Here in Michigan, we're kind of average as well, right around the $80,000 mark, with the 50th percentile around the 79, again, $80,000 mark. All right, so if you are looking at an accelerated second degree program for, a BSN, why choose U of M-Flint? So what separates us from some of the other schools out there? First of all, accreditation. Accreditation is a very big deal. Okay, not only from the school's standpoint, but also the program. So here at U of M, we carry a Higher Learning Commission accreditation, a regional accreditation, and the program itself carries a CCNE accreditation, essentially a third party that comes in every 5 or 10 years, depending on your accrediting timeline. And essentially they meet with our students, they meet with our professors, they look at our pass rates, our NCLEX licensure rates, and they give us our accreditation. We've never not been accredited. We've had this accreditation since basically the inception of the program. Also, we have early assurance into our MSN and our DMP programs, undergraduate certificate options that I'll cover in a little bit later on a different slide, service learning opportunities, which is kind of like a mini study abroad, personalized course plans. That's a very big part of my job here as an advisor with the School of Nursing. And our first time NCLEX pass rate is above the national average. I believe we just received it the other week, and it was actually pretty good this year, around that 93% mark, I believe. Faculty that still practice in the field, that is a wonderful asset as well. They stay current with the technology, with policy changes, with just the landscape of healthcare and nursing. So our program is a secondary admit type of program. What that means is that it does take not only an application into the pre-nursing, but an application to get into the core curriculum that you're looking at. Essentially, this here is the prerequisite phase. So it's a competitive admission. A C or higher, 2.0, is the passing standard for all nursing prereqs and nursing courses. So it's a minimum of a 2.75 cumulative science GPA for those prereqs, and a minimum of a 2.5 combined non-science GPA, cumulative again. Also, we have a on-campus writing and interview. So essentially what happens is whether you transfer classes in or take them here, or a combination of both, which is what most students do, your science prereqs being microbiology, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, pathophysiology, pharmacology, and a general chemistry lecture and lab. Those classes must be at the minimum cumulative GPA of a 2.75. Your non-science prereqs, English 1, English 2, Introduction to Nursing, Nutrition, Intro Psych, and Developmental Psych. Those classes must be at a minimum cumulative 2.5 in order to be eligible for the on-campus writing and interview. So essentially how it works, there are some intricacies when it comes to biology classes. Your bio classes, microbio, A&P 1 and 2, must be no more than 10 years old at the time of application to the nursing program. If they are more than 10 years old, but your pathophysiology is less than 10 years old and completed successfully, then that anatomy and physiology courses can be grandfathered in. They don't have to be repeated. So this is, again, one of the advantages of having an advisor. There are some nuances to the program that we can help walk you through to make sure we're all on the same page, get you out of here as quick and painlessly as possible. So once the prerequisite phase is complete, here is what you're vying for. We have 56 clinical seats available every fall. And essentially, this is a fall admission only for the clinical. So that semester 1 that you're seeing right there is always going to be fall. It is 4 semesters. 4 semesters consecutively, fall, winter, summer, fall of the second year, and it's approximately 16 months. And during that time, it is a very, very demanding program, very busy. You're going to have a clinical day in your first semester, 2 clinical days, any shift, any day of the week, for semesters 2, 3, and 4. So again, clinicals, classes, simulation labs, studying, homework, just the whole 9 yards. It's a very busy program. You're covering what our traditional students cover in approximately 2.5 years, but you're doing it in 16 months. During that time, if you are able to maintain a 3.5 or higher U of M GPA, you can also receive early assurance into our Master's in Science of Nursing or our doctoral of the nursing practitioner. Essentially, what that means is once you graduate, you have a seat essentially reserved for you. This is a graduate level program. You'll see Julie Westenfeld's email there. She is the one who's responsible for kind of discussing this program and getting students through the correct courses. We have several certificates available as well if a student's trying to differentiate themselves from some of their fellow nurses out there. We have an undergraduate nursing leadership and management, undergraduate nursing case management, undergraduate nursing and healthcare informatics. These are all available fully online. And the three below that, those do have a on-campus or hands-on component. The undergraduate certificate in sexual assault nursing examiner, or SANE, graduate healthcare simulation, and postgraduate certificates both in adult gerontology and acute care, and psychiatric mental health care nurse practitioner as well. So study abroad is a very popular program and option for students. For most programs, a great idea, but for nursing, it's a little too. Unfortunately, our program is rather intense and we need you here on campus, so we can't devote an entire semester to studying abroad. So we have a smaller version of that referred to as service learning. You'll see these are some of the destinations that we've been in the past, and essentially the entire campus comes together and we do canned food drives, first aid and medical kit supplies drives, and then we send a group of students to an area that's somewhat underserved, and they will, again, distribute these goods and hold small seminars on first aid, on hygiene, and basically just help improve the quality of life for an area that could use a little help. Some frequently asked questions. So how long does this nursing program typically take to complete? A lot of variables there. And that again is why you have an advisor walk you through this. Typically prereqs are 3 or 4 semesters to complete. The reason for that is the sequence of your science classes. It starts with Anatomy and Physiology 1, which is the prereq for Anatomy and Physiology 2, which is the prereq for Pathophysiology and Pharmacology. So typically about a year as far as prereqs, but again, it depends on what you're transferring in. Once you get into the program itself, that is very concrete. That is those 4 semesters, back to back to back, 16 months. So that part is rather set in stone. How many students are admitted to the program each year? So again, this is a fall-only start program. And again, we typically have 56 seats available every fall. This can vary, but for the past several years, 56 is kind of our number. This number is actually dictated by the State of Michigan Board of Nursing. And essentially what happens, again, when more qualified applicants apply than what we have room for, they can receive an alternate seat as well in case something does open up. We typically have 60 to 70, maybe 80 apply to the accelerated program. Some years as much as 100, but usually around that 70, 80 mark. So when can I apply to the University of Michigan's nursing program? Again, all students start off in the prerequisite phase. Prereqs can be completed fall, winter, summer. Nearly all of them are offered every semester. So if we're looking at that prerequisite phase, then yes, you can start classes this fall or winter or summer. Again, the core curriculum, that 16-month program, is a fall start only. All right, you can apply to the program once you complete 4 prerequisites, including 2 science courses, one of which must be a biology course. And again, we go through and review your GPA as long as you have the 2.75 cumulative science GPA, 2.5 non-science cumulative GPA, and a minimum of a 2.0 in all of your prereqs. You can then apply to the program and essentially will administer the interview as well as the writing samples. Students can take up to 1 year off while in the program without having to readmit. Again, sometimes life circumstances happen and students might have to step out, and you can do that for up to a year without having to go through the admissions process again. All nursing courses, all prerequisite courses must be completed successfully prior to the first semester. There can be no pending prereqs out there while you're trying to start the program. Can you transfer courses in? Of course you can. But again, there's a caveat to that. We have to see, when you took the course, what was the grade of the course? And also how many credits was it weighted for? So yes, we can accept transfer credits, and we do have a transfer database right here. The link is below there. And those are all pre-approved classes, again, pending the grade and the weight of the course. And this is also, again, where your advisor comes into play. The cost of college, like transferring, is very dependent on the situation. A lot of variables there. Again, what did you transfer in? Are you in state or out of state? Situations like that. So there's a link to our tuition and fees. And I always get a crack out of this. Is this a University of Michigan degree? Yes, of course it is. It doesn't matter if you graduate from Ann Arbor, Dearborn, or Flint. You are University of Michigan alumni. You have the same access to networks and alumni benefits. Right, the next steps, essentially, the first step is to apply as a transfer student into the ASD BSN. Once you apply, you can book an appointment, but we're really waiting on the transcripts. An appointment regarding this program, we can't really accomplish a lot until we have the transcripts in and see exactly what you're transferring in. We subtract those transfer classes from the list of prereqs, and that's how we set up your degree plan. So essentially it is apply, send transcripts, and then book an appointment with an advisor like myself. Go.umflint.edu/UM-Flint apply. The application is free. Again, select free nursing as your major, accelerated second degree, transfer student. After you apply, send official transcripts from all colleges that you've attended. Either in the mail, our address is posted here. Most colleges now anymore do electronic transfer, and that is admissions.flint@umich.edu. Again, once you apply and send your transcripts, book an appointment right through this link. Tuition, scholarship links. And when you book an appointment, we typically divide up our caseload by the first letter of the last name. Alyssa Myers, one of our newer advisors, is A through F, Monica Wilichowski, G through N, and myself, O through Z. So feel free to contact us with any questions or concerns. The presentation and slide will be emailed to you along with as long as you filled out the RSVP link. If you did not, please send a private message to our inbox here at School of Nursing, U of M-Flint. And as always, go blue. I know that was a lot of information, so please don't hesitate to reach out.